Mark Anthony here from SiGMA TV. I'm here today with Gali from WarriorLab. Gali, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm very, very happy to have you over here. Thank you very much for making time for me today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm curious about WarriorLab. I understand it's a global management consulting firm and a trusted advisor to iGaming. Now, social gaming also and sweepstakes.
Correct.
So, right now, what can you say is the biggest concern of the industry, and how would you say you would address this?
I think right now, if you look at the industry, iGaming industry as a whole, the biggest conversation that we're seeing more and more come up is responsible gambling. We've seen tons of talks about innovative ways to control problematic behavior, take proactive approaches, but at the same time, in conjunction with responsible gambling, we're also looking at the argument of over-regulation. And I think for us right now as an industry, we're at this crossroad and juncture where we're trying to determine what is the right amount of regulation that's going to give operators the avenues and the facilities in order to combat problem gambling, that we're not targeting, I would say, vulnerable traffic, vulnerable individuals, and obviously keeping our businesses ethically aligned. And I think right now the biggest area is how do we find the balance between regulation, responsible gambling, and trying to keep operators motivated to remain regulated, that it's not a deterrent, and keeping them in line so that at the same time they're not finding ways to circumvent regulation for personal gain.
Thank you very much, Gali. Let's talk about South Africa for a moment. How do you see the country's iGaming industry growing within the next 3 to 5 years?
South Africa, in the next 3 to 5 years, I believe we're going to see a completely different industry. Right now, there's a lot of new operators entering the market. We're seeing this happen every year, year on year. The market is growing. We now have our fixed odd casino games, although we don't call casino in South Africa. It's fixed odds betting. And for me, the way that I see South Africa in the next 3 to 5 years, I believe we might see some consolidation. There is a lot of new traffic, a lot of newcomers entering the market. We are a growing market. There's a lot of opportunity, but at the end of the day, not everyone can be in the number one position. So I believe there'll be some acquisitions in the next 3 to 5 years. I believe some companies may pull out and focus their resources on other developing markets. But definitely one thing I'm confident about is over the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be growth, there's going to be market expansion, and South Africa as a region is going to become more and more popular and more attractive to those people trying to solidify their position in the market.
Thank you very much for that, Gali. I have 2 more questions for you. So globally, the gaming industry has expected a growth exponentially in the coming years. So what do you think contributes to this growth?
I definitely think awareness and availability, especially with technology, making platforms more accessible. If I look at Africa as a market with mobile as a focal point, mobile accessibility in Africa is number one. Now we have technology that allows people to play without data connectivity and other innovative ways to allow for communities that may not have the same access to internet to participate. I also believe that more and more of a cultural shift is taking place. So whereas if you take gambling 10 years ago, there was a lot of taboo and a lot of hesitation around discussion, but nowadays you can't even watch sport and you're always going to see gambling sponsorship, advertising, t-shirts, the billboards, everything around. So it's becoming a culturally accepted event, a culturally accepted habit, and people are open to talking about it. As people talk about it, interest builds, and people are buying into the fun of it, hopefully in a responsible way. So for me, what is contributing to the growth of the gambling and iGaming industry, it's access to our platforms, innovation, and more widespread technology, and culturally, people are seeing it more acceptable to participate in iGaming.
Thank you very much. Gali, I have one last question for you. So we're halfway halfway through day one, okay, of SiGMA Africa. How is it going for you, and what are you looking forward to the rest of the actual show? There's tomorrow, there's all of tomorrow, and the gatherings in the evenings, of course.
Absolutely. We've loved the event so far. It's a privilege to have SiGMA in South Africa and to share the spotlight on South Africa as a viable conferencing market. We've met up with a lot of clients and a lot of partners at the event, and it's our HQ at the end of the day. My company is based out of Cape Town, so to have a conference the magnitude of SiGMA Africa in our home city, it's a real privilege. We've loved it. The conversations are at an incredibly valuable level. The panel discussions are great quality. The different variety of people that are presenting with their stands has been exceptional. And so far we're loving it. We're looking forward to day 2. We are going to continue exactly where we started, keeping the conversations going, broadening who we speak to, meeting up with more partners, more clients, and just having a good time.
Gali, thank you very, very much for the insight, for the very kind words, honest words, I would say, because I agree with everything he said. We're going to be seeing much more about WarriorLab in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Gali for you. Thank you very much for adding a lot of value to our show, and I'll see you on the floor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.